On the 25th of April 1948, Miss Hind al-Husseini wrote in her diary that she had only 138 Palestinian pounds in her pocket. Nevertheless, she decided to live with the 55 orphans as long as she could.
أنا ماني شاطرة زي ست عفاف. يلا عشان ننزل نفطر. Hind Husseini, born 1916, 25th of April. She used to live with her mother. Her father died when she was only 2 years. She doesn't know him. And with another 5 brothers, so they were all together 6. Miss Husseini learned in English college. She used to be a teacher in the Islamic school in the old city.
We are bodysuit.
Between 1936 and 1939, during the Palestinian General Strike and the revolt against Jewish immigration to Palestine and the Zionist Project, Miss Hind al-Husseini got a scholarship to study in England, but her mother didn't allow her to because it was wartime.
My mother, she was climbing on the train. That was in 1930-something, with making her speech to the group that they went to England to discuss the Palestinian problem and situation. So you could see she's a woman and all these, and she was very young. And beside her is Mr. Wahbe, that he was that time very famous.
In 1944 and 1945, Palestinian women already had a movement known as the Arab Women's Union. Ms. Hind al-Husseini left teaching and became a social worker. Together with these other Palestinian women's groups, she decided to form the Jerusalem Women's Solidarity Society. As its president, she started to travel with her colleagues from throughout Palestine into the cities and villages to establish kindergartens, dressmaking, and charitable women's centers. Together, they created 22 branches. Saida Jarala often traveled with her and gathered news to publish a leaflet about their work. After the UN vote on the partition of Palestine in November 1947, fighting broke out between Palestinian and Jewish militants. By 1949, 750,000 Palestinian refugees had been expelled from their land. The members of the Women's Society were also expelled, and Jerusalem was full of refugees. This was especially true after the Deir Yassin massacre. After the massacre, acting mayor of Jerusalem Anwar Khatib called for a meeting. While Miss Husseini was on her way to the meeting in the Old City, passing by the Holy Sepulchre Church in Kanki, she saw a strange picture.
She found 55 children. They were gathering themselves, crying. They were alone, and they were able to live. So they were, that time, putting in a truck, send them to the west of Jerusalem. She stopped nearby, asked them, "What are you doing? Who are you?" Then they say, "We are the children of Deir Yassin." The oldest one, she was 12 years old. The youngest was 1 year. So she couldn't leave them in the street. So she took them, and in the beginning, she put them in the 2 rooms in the old city near the Sister Zionism. And they stayed there nearly for 3 weeks.
هذا البيت اللي عشنا فيه وهو بالحقيقة بيتها، كانت عايشة هي وإمها. أطفال دير ياسين أول ما أجوا جبتهم على بيتها، بعدين استعملت البيت فوق منامة وتحت مدرسة في بداية 48 49 50.
Well, of course, in the beginning, she started to think to give them a shelter, a home, to feed them, to give them love, to feel safe. After this period, she started to think these children, they need to be educated. So one of her colleagues, that he was in a strong position, the mayor of Jerusalem, Anwar al-Khatib, he was one of the supporters for my mother. So she started in the school, in the house, with 1 class, kindergarten. Most of Deir Yassin children, that after they finished and they get their education from Dar al-Tifl, they married from each other. Somehow, they are mostly in United States.
ما نريدهم راحت فين؟ راحت تشرب ايه؟ تشرب مية ايه؟ مية حبيبي.
I came here to Dar al-Tifl, I was only 2 months. My original family, they are from Arabe. It's a small village near Jenin. My father used to travel to Damascus. He died on his way back. And my mother, she stayed in Damascus. But when she get me, she get nervous breakdown. It's Miss Husseini. She decided to adopt me. She raised me up in a good life. So what you have to pay back for Dar al-Tifl and Miss Husseini. When you get older, you feel like this is your home. You live all your life in this house. Child is a child. If he needs help, he's most welcome to come into this place. So always we used to celebrate like having holidays, Christmas time, our feast, their feast, because in the 60s, we used to have half Christian, half Muslim. We used to celebrate Maryam and Joseph's story, how they get Jesus and so on.
During the Six-Day War in 1967, Israel occupied the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem.
After the war, she used the school as a hospital for the people that they were wounded. We used to have a minibus, so she wore her white uniform and she put Red Cross on her hand, and she started to move with the driver to collect the children, the adults. One of these cases, I remember it very well because they continue after to study in Dar al-Tifel, that she lost her eye and her leg. And she lost the parents, both. And my mother found them under the damage of the house. I remember also this building, the school building, was bombed. Half of the building was destroyed, complete. And Red Cross, the Norwegian, support us to build the building. My mother heard rumors that Moshe Dayan's wife, she's moving around, especially the small villages, and try to buy from them their culture. After the war, immediately, she went to the villages and started to buy the embroidery, the antique, from the people. Then she started to think to open a museum.
Between 1958 and 1975, Hind al-Husseini was able to buy her grandfather's house, which belonged to her mother, her nephews, and her cousins.
It wasn't easy. She had to find run cost. She was always running and trying to get contact with people, to get support. Of course, Husseini family, they were the biggest support in the beginning for her, that they give this big compound, their houses, to her because she was nagging on them and say, well, I need these houses to use it as a school. Before first the Intifada, we used to have 350 children. During the first Intifada, it became a little bit less, starting with Gaza children, that they couldn't come back to the school when they left to holiday. After that, it became the number less and less with the second Intifada. It's getting worse and worse for these children to come back to the school because of the huge, ugly wall. And now Dar al-Tifel, from 350, they became 33 children.
بحب أتعلم وأحب أشارك بالمدرسة. أكثر إشي بحبه بالمدرسة إنه بيعلمونا أحسن تعليم، وإنه يعني منظم الوقت.
ليش أنت بتدخلي هون؟
عشان أمي توفت.
بتحبي تحكي ليش أنت هون؟ ليه بتحبيش تحكي؟
لأنه إشي يعني هيك شخصي، بحبش يعني أرجع للماضي، ويعني بدي أمشي المستقبل عشان يعني اللي برجع للماضي بندم يعني، وبدي أنسى يعني بدي أنسى إنه هيك صار، ويعني الماضي عشان بتطلع الماضي بيكملش المستقبل يعني، الواحد بيهتم بدراسته وبينسى اللي صار.
And make me so sad when I look to the rooms and then see the building, it's empty, and I know this place could support at least 1,000 as an orphanage. Example, like children they leave after Ramallah, how you could let them to leave alone? So when you call their relative to come and pick them up, it's also very difficult for these relatives to come and pick them up because it's not allowed for them to come into Jerusalem. So what we do, that they go to the checkpoint. So they go in by hard, not easy also. And then they found their family waiting for them to the other side. Also, when they have like weekend, their family to come and visit them, they can't. Why? It's the war. The other way, you have to explain for the children, especially when they start to cry, I need my father, I need my mom. When you just tell them that it's so difficult. They don't understand why it's difficult. No one could separate
A family from a child, يعني no one, only this wall.
Miss Hind died in 1994 and I was elected in 1995 as the president of the board of trustees, and I'm working as a volunteer. Dar al-Tifl owns 6 buildings. These buildings are the administration, هند الحسيني College, دار إسعاف النشاشيبي for culture and arts, the school, the museum and the domes. They are trust fund for دار الطفل العربي، أوقاف إسلامية.
تشوفي هند حسيني على عدة أشكال، هند حسيني الجدية، هند حسيني الحنونة، هند حسيني المرحة، هند حسيني اللي بتحب الرياضة والموسيقى. وبدي أقول لهم إنه في عدد كبير كمان من الفلسطينيين الستات اللي هم ولا 1000 رجال أوروبي بيقدر يعمل اللي عملته الست العربية، وهذا مثل عليه اللي هي هند حسيني اللي عملته رجال وحكومات بتقدرش تعمله.